5 minutes. Imagine for a moment that life is moving as usual. You're driving to work, children are walking to school, someone is sitting in a hospital waiting for news, another person is preparing dinner. The world seems ordinary, busy, distracted with noise, routine, and plans for tomorrow, and then, without warning, without countdown, without explanation, millions of people are gone in an instant, no goodbyes. No warning, just empty seats, silent phones, and voices that never answer again. The silence that follows will be louder than any earthquake, any war, or any tragedy humanity has ever known. In those first moments, confusion will grip the earth like a suffocating fog. Mothers will scream for their children who suddenly vanish from their cribs. Husbands will collapse in despair when they realize their wives are no longer beside them. Friends will stare in horror at the empty chair where someone was sitting just a heartbeat ago. News stations will break in with chaos, showing images of streets littered with abandoned cars, highways jammed with crashes, and skies filled with planes that no longer have pilots. Panic will not spread slowly. It will erupt instantly, burning like fire across every corner of the globe. And yet, beneath all the noise, beneath all the frantic explanations and conspiracy theories, there will be one undeniable truth pressing on the human soul. Deep down, in a place that can't be silenced, people will know this was the moment foretold. This was the event warned about for generations. The realization will cut deeper than any headline, deeper than any explanation. It will be the sudden awareness that the time to choose has ended and the chance to be ready has slipped through trembling hands. The weight of regret will crash down like a tidal wave, flooding minds with all the times they ignored, postponed, or laughed away the truth. In those 5 minutes after, the emotions will be unbearable. Fear will strangle hearts as people wonder what comes next. Guilt will torment souls who once said, "I'll change tomorrow." Loneliness will echo in homes where voices once filled the air with laughter, but now are only memories. The world will suddenly feel colder, darker, emptier, and in that emptiness, people will search desperately for answers, for hope, for anything that can explain the unexplainable, but explanations will not heal the wound of being left behind. Leaders will rise with false promises, but the ache of loss will remain, gnawing at the very core of humanity. Every clock tick will feel heavier than ever before. Every second will remind those left behind that time was a gift they never used. They will remember the conversations they avoided, the moments they brushed off, the chances they had but wasted, the distractions that once seemed important. Money, fame, entertainment will suddenly feel empty, powerless, meaningless. In the wake of sudden loss, only one question will matter. Why wasn't I ready? That single haunting thought will echo louder than sirens, louder than news anchors, louder than all the chaos combined. And no one will be able to silence it. Those first 5 minutes after will not just reveal what was lost, it will expose what was never truly valued. Families torn apart will realize too late that love was never about more time, it was about choosing the right time. Friends will regret the jokes, the arguments, the distractions that blinded them from eternity. Tears will soak the ground, cries will pierce the night, and fear will choke the air as the realization spreads that history has just split in two. The world before the rapture and the world after, and nothing will ever be the same again. The world will struggle to find words for what just happened. News anchors will tremble as they read breaking reports, unsure if they should call it a tragedy, an attack, or something supernatural. Scientists will scramble, offering theories that sound hollow even as they speak them. Politicians will hold emergency conferences, their faces pale, their voices cracking under the weight of a disaster they cannot control. Families will rush to hospitals, airports, and police stations, begging for answers that no one has to give. But behind every explanation, one truth will hang in the air. This is not something man can explain away. Imagine sitting in front of your television, flipping through channels as every station broadcasts the same footage. Highways filled with wreckage, hospitals overflowing with the wounded, parents collapsing in despair as they clutch empty strollers. Social media will explode with videos of people vanishing mid-sentence, recordings of classrooms with half the desks suddenly empty, and streets filled with abandoned clothes where bodies once stood. Hashtags will trend, rumors will spread, and fear will rise like a storm. And yet, No matter how many theories appear, no one will have peace in the answers, because deep down the heart will know it wasn't an accident. Phones will ring endlessly, unanswered, as families try to find loved ones who will never pick up again. Airports will go silent as flights are grounded worldwide, but the silence will be filled with sobs and angry shouts from people demanding answers. Schools will lock down in chaos, with children missing and teachers broken with shock. Governments will declare states of emergency, but no law, no plan, no army can fix what just happened. People will huddle in fear, whispering to each other, "Where did they go? What does this mean? Who will help us now?" The air will be thick with desperation. In those first hours, nothing will make sense anymore. The systems humanity trusted, science, politics, medicine, technology, will all fall silent under the weight of the unexplainable. All the advancements, all the progress, all the inventions that promised security will suddenly feel powerless, useless, meaningless. The smartest minds on earth will look like children fumbling in the dark, their voices breaking as they try to explain the unexplainable. And in the eyes of those left behind, there will be a fear greater than any disaster before, the fear that they already know the answer, but it's the one they never wanted to believe. For some, the confusion will twist into anger at God, anger at the people who warned them, anger at themselves. Others will sink into despair, their hearts crushed under the weight of realizing they weren't ready. Rumors will spread that it was aliens, government experiments, secret weapons, or some kind of mass illusion. People will cling to any explanation that doesn't force them to face the truth. But no theory, no excuse, no rumor will erase the ache in the heart, the deep, unshakable sense that this was more than tragedy, this was destiny fulfilled. And while the world trembles, while confusion spreads like wildfire, the one question no one can silence will thunder inside the human soul. What now? Every eye will search for leadership, for answers, for something stable to hold onto in the storm. But nothing on earth will bring clarity, nothing will erase the truth, because the confusion is not just about what happened, it's about what's coming next. And that fear, that uncertainty, that haunting silence of heaven will grip the earth like chains no one can break. The first wave will be shock, but soon after it will give way to an emotional collapse unlike anything the world has ever seen. People who once stood tall will crumble to the ground, sobbing uncontrollably. Strong men will break in tears, unable to carry the weight of what they've lost. Mothers will rock empty blankets, screaming the names of children who will never answer. Fathers will punch walls, their rage hiding the hollow ache in their hearts. Friends will hold each other and cry until their bodies shake, because no words can comfort the pain of irreversible loss. Regret will choke the air. People will remember conversations they laughed off, sermons they ignored, and moments when their hearts whispered the truth, but they drowned it out with distractions. Guilt will play like a broken record, repeating the words, "I should have listened, I should have believed, I should have been ready." The weight of "what if" will crush them, and the haunting silence of those who are gone will make the guilt unbearable. In homes, in offices, in streets, there will be weeping that cannot be silenced. For some, grief will twist into madness. People will scream at the sky, cursing God, begging for one more chance, bargaining for a second of mercy. Others will collapse into despair, staring blankly at walls, unable to move, unable to hope. Depression will settle like a heavy fog, suffocating any flicker of joy. The laughter of yesterday will feel like it belonged to another lifetime. The tears of today will flow without end, staining the ground like rivers of sorrow. The sound of grief will echo louder than any war. Communities will crumble as trust vanishes. Neighbors will look at each other with suspicion. Families will break under the weight of blame, and friendships will be torn apart by grief. People will argue endlessly, "Why you? Why not me? Why them? Why not us?" But no argument will erase the emptiness in their hearts. Those left behind will feel the hollow pain of being abandoned, not by chance, but by destiny. The weight of missing love will gnaw at every thought, making the world feel like a cold and merciless place. Children will cry for parents who will never come home, Spouses will hold pillows, clinging to the scent of someone who is never returning. Siblings will replay memories of laughter, vacations, and arguments, now realizing every second was precious. The emotions will not fade with time. They will intensify, becoming unbearable with every passing hour. Sleep will not bring relief, because nightmares will only replay what the heart already knows. Every sunrise will be a cruel reminder of what has been lost forever. And through the tears, through the heartbreak, through the shattered emotions, one question will rise like a ghost in every heart. Why wasn't I ready? That question will sting more than the loss itself. Because deep inside, they will know. It wasn't because they weren't told. It wasn't because the chance never came. It was because they postponed, because they ignored, because they chose the temporary over the eternal. And that realization will not just break hearts. It will crush spirits into pieces too heavy to repair. The moment silence breaks, it will not be with calm, it will be with panic. Sirens will wail across cities. Police radios will scream with calls they cannot answer. And hospitals will overflow with the injured from accidents caused by sudden disappearances. Highways will be littered with burning cars, planes will have fallen from the skies, and trains will stand wrecked and abandoned. People will run into the streets, their cries mixing with alarms as the world descends into chaos. Order will vanish, and fear will spread like wildfire in every direction. Governments will declare martial law, soldiers will flood the streets, and emergency broadcasts will flash across every screen. But no law, no order, no authority will be able to control the madness. People will loot stores, desperate for food and supplies, because no one knows what tomorrow holds. Banks will collapse under the weight of fear, markets will plummet, and the economy will bleed out in a single day. The systems humanity trusted for security, politics, money, military power will crack like glass under pressure, and the world will realize just how fragile it really was. Airports will shut down with thousands stranded, screaming for answers, clutching tickets that no longer matter. Borders will close, but walls and fences cannot keep out the panic. Nations will turn against nations, pointing fingers, accusing each other of secret weapons, experiments, and conspiracies. Rumors will spread faster than facts, and fear will feed on fear until reason itself collapses. Crowds will gather in squares, shouting, protesting, demanding explanations from leaders who have none. And in the eyes of the people, the once powerful rulers will now look powerless, broken, exposed. Technology will become both a weapon and a curse. Social media will overflow with videos of vanishing people, with conspiracy theories, with anger, with hopeless cries. Some will use it to spread lies, to manipulate, to control. Others will use it to mourn, to scream, to say goodbye. But every post, every message, every desperate video will point to the same reality. No one is safe, no one is in control, and nothing makes sense anymore. The digital world will magnify the chaos until the fear becomes unbearable, and as panic rises, violence will follow. Neighbors will turn on neighbors, strangers will attack strangers, and blood will stain the streets. People will fight over food, over water, over medicine, over anything that feels like survival. Cities will burn as riots explode. Governments will collapse under the weight of anarchy, and humanity will taste the bitterness of lawlessness. The illusion of safety will shatter, and the world will see itself for what it truly is: vulnerable, fragile, broken. Through all of this, a hunger for leadership will grow. People will beg for someone to step forward, to calm the storm, to provide hope where none exists. And in that desperate longing, the stage will be set for deception, for a leader who promises peace, but whose peace will cost everything. The panic will not only expose fear, it will open the door for manipulation, for control, for the rise of something darker than the chaos itself. And the world, desperate for answers, will be ready to follow anyone who offers them. When the panic begins to quiet, even for a moment, another wave will crash down, one that is heavier than fear and louder than chaos. It will be the moment of spiritual realization. People will sit in the ruins of their cities, scroll through endless headlines, or stand in the middle of streets filled with abandoned cars, and suddenly, in the deepest part of their hearts, they will know. This was not science, this was not politics, this was not a mystery of nature. This was the truth they heard about but never wanted to believe, and that realization will cut deeper than any blade. It will not matter what scientists say on television, or what leaders claim in their speeches. The heart will betray them. The heart will whisper with brutal honesty, "This was the moment we were warned about. This was the return we laughed at, the story we ignored, the prophecy we treated like a fairy tale." The memory of every sermon, every conversation, every verse once read but forgotten will come rushing back like fire in the soul, and with that memory will come the sting of regret, burning so fiercely it will be unbearable. Some will remember parents who begged them to believe, friends who pleaded with them to turn their lives around, or moments where they felt a tug in their spirit but chose distraction instead. The voices of the past will echo like thunder in their minds, "Be ready, be prepared, don't wait." But waiting was what they chose, and now the truth will not just be clear, it will be undeniable. Their eyes will finally see what their hearts always knew, but now it will be too late to change sides. The grief of losing loved ones will pale in comparison to the terror of realizing they missed eternity. The tears shed for vanished families will be swallowed by the tears shed for their own souls. Because in that moment, the biggest loss will not be the empty rooms or the missing voices. It will be the crushing awareness of separation, not for a day, not for a season, but for forever, and that reality will break even the strongest hearts into pieces too heavy to carry. Others will fall to their knees, crying out to God, not with the faith of preparation, but with the desperation of regret. Their prayers will feel like they bounce off the ceiling. Their cries will feel unanswered. The heavens will seem silent, not because God never spoke, but because they never listened when He did. That silence will be the loudest sound they have ever heard, and the realization that the door of mercy has closed will echo like a hammer in the depths of their souls. This realization will unite humanity in sorrow. It won't matter whether someone was rich or poor, educated or uneducated, powerful or powerless. In that moment, every soul left behind will share the same emptiness, the same aching regret, the same unshakable awareness that they missed the moment that mattered most. And while panic creates chaos, it will be this spiritual realization that creates despair. The despair of knowing the truth too late, the despair of realizing eternity has already been decided. When the truth sinks in, regret will be heavier than fear, louder than panic, and sharper than grief. It will not just visit the mind, it will crush the heart. People will collapse under the weight of what could have been. They will replay conversations in their heads, remembering the invitations they rejected, the warnings they laughed off, the late night moments when they felt a tug in their spirit, but drowned it with music, movies, or distractions. Every missed chance will replay like a broken film, each frame screaming, "You could have chosen differently." Imagine the sting of realizing eternity was within reach, but was exchanged for temporary pleasure. The regret of a lifetime will not compare to the regret of this moment. People will weep not just for what they lost, but for what they could have gained. They will think of the times they said, "I'll change tomorrow, I'll believe later, I'll get serious one day," only to discover that one day has already passed, and as that reality sinks in, their tears will not be enough to wash away the ache of lost opportunity. Regret will sit like chains on their souls, dragging them into despair. They will remember the moments they felt conviction, but silenced it with excuses. They will recall the gentle words of loved ones urging them to prepare, but they chose pride instead. They will replay invitations to faith they ignored because they were too busy chasing money, success, or pleasure. And each memory will hit harder than the last, until the weight of regret feels like it is crushing the very air out of their lungs. For many, the hardest part will not be the chaos around them, it will be the silence inside. The silence of knowing they had time, but wasted it. The silence of realizing every distraction they chased was worthless compared to eternity. The silence of understanding that every excuse, every delay, every rejection has now sealed their destiny. And in that silence, their souls will scream louder than their voices ever could. Families will grieve not just the absence of their loved ones, but the fact that they are now separated forever. Parents will remember the moments they could have taught their children truth but didn't. Children will remember the moments they could have listened to their parents but refused. Friends will think of the jokes they made about faith and how those jokes now echo like curses in their memories. The regret will not just wound, it will consume like a fire that burns from the inside out. This weight will not lift with time, it will only grow heavier. Every sunrise will remind them that yesterday's chance is gone. Every sleepless night will replay the haunting words, "too late." And the weight will be so crushing that even breathing will feel like pain, because life will no longer feel like a gift. It will feel like punishment. The sorrow will not fade. It will linger, it will grow, and it will suffocate hope until despair becomes the only companion left. After the wave of regret has torn through the heart, something even more piercing will arrive: clarity. For the first time, the noise of distraction will be gone. The things that once seemed so important, money, success, careers, appearances, possessions, will suddenly be exposed as empty illusions. The veil will be lifted, and the truth will shine in brutal honesty. People will see life, not through the filter of comfort, but through the raw lens of eternity. The sudden clarity will be more painful than panic, because it will reveal what always mattered but was never valued. The chase for wealth will look foolish in the face of forever. The obsession with fame will appear shallow in the light of eternity. The endless scrolling, the countless hours wasted on entertainment, the arguments, the bitterness, the pride, every one of them will feel like dust, meaningless, worthless. People will look around and see the wreckage of a world that lived for itself and realize, too late, that none of it could save them, and that clarity will pierce deeper than any sword. In that moment, people will remember the truth they once ignored. The clarity will sweep away excuses like a storm tearing through weak walls. Suddenly, the simple words of a parent, the prayer of a friend, or the verse once read but forgotten will blaze in their minds like fire. They will see the truth they buried under distraction, and it will shine with a brightness they can't deny. But the brightness will not bring peace, it will bring pain, because the time to act on it has already passed. Some will stare at their possessions, the cars in their garages, the houses they built, the accounts they filled, and realize every ounce of effort they poured into those things bought them nothing in eternity. Others will think of the grudges they clung to, the pride that kept them from surrendering, the moments they silenced the voice inside that urged them to choose differently. And in that sudden clarity, they will understand with brutal honesty, they traded the eternal for the temporary, and the temporary has now vanished like smoke. And yet, the pain of this clarity will not be in what they see, it will be in what they cannot change. For the first time, the meaning of life will be clear, the reality of eternity undeniable, the weight of choice obvious. But no action can be taken. The truth is visible, but the door is locked. The clarity is powerful, but the opportunity is gone. That will be the sharpest sting, that the eyes can see what the heart refused, but the hands can no longer reach. This sudden clarity will unite all people left behind in one haunting realization. Life was never about comfort, status, or distraction. It was about preparation. Every small decision, every ignored warning, every wasted moment will now shine under the spotlight of truth. The questions they once pushed aside will roar back with force. Why didn't I listen? Why didn't I change? Why didn't I prepare? And the answers will only bring tears. Because the truth was always in front of them. They just never chose to see it until it was too late. When clarity strikes, time will suddenly feel like a cruel enemy. Seconds will no longer pass quietly. They will thunder in the mind like ticking bombs. Every tick of the clock will remind them that the chance to prepare is gone, that the door is shut, that eternity has already been decided. What once felt like a luxury, time to think, time to choose, time to change, will now feel like a torment, because the truth will be clear, but the moment to respond will already have slipped through their hands. People will remember the days they wasted, the hours they threw away, the opportunities they thought they would always have. They will think of the countless mornings when they said, "Not today, I'll do it later, I still have time," and now later will have vanished like smoke. The weight of delay will crush them more than fear, because every moment they postponed will now echo back as judgment. The urgency of time will scream in their souls, reminding them that time was never theirs to control. It was always a gift, and it is gone. Imagine someone standing in the middle of a city in ruins, surrounded by empty cars, abandoned homes, and broken families. As the world burns with panic, the louder fire will be inside them, the fire of knowing they had time and wasted it. The ache of every distraction will return like a wound, each memory whispering, "You could have chosen differently." They will cry, not just because loved ones are gone, but because their chance is gone too. The urgency of time will choke every breath, making each heartbeat feel heavier than the last. For the first time, people will understand the true value of a single minute. They will think of conversations they could have had, apologies they could have made, choices they could have taken. A single prayer, a single decision, a single step of surrender. They will see how small those actions were in the moment, and yet how eternal they were in their impact. And now, the pain of realizing that even 1 minute could have changed their eternity will carve their souls like stone. Time, once ignored, will now be worshipped in desperation. People will wish they could buy back a single hour, a single chance, a single heartbeat to change their fate. But no money, no power, no plea will rewind the clock. The urgency of time will become unbearable because it will reveal the greatest truth of all. Eternity does not wait for hesitation, and hesitation will have cost everything. This is the tragedy of the urgency of time. It will teach its lesson too late. The lesson that every second mattered, the lesson that choices made in secret shaped eternal destinies, the lesson that tomorrow is not promised and waiting is not safe. It will all be clear in that moment, but the clarity will not heal, it will haunt. The urgency will not be an invitation, it will be a torment, because what was once available is no longer within reach. When the urgency of time settles like a crushing weight, people will begin to search for hope, for answers, for any light in the darkness. The world will become one massive cry for direction. Families will flood into churches, pounding on locked doors, begging for guidance. People who once mocked faith will break down in desperation, whispering prayers they never believed in, just hoping someone, anyone, is still listening. The search will be frantic, not born out of love or devotion, but out of raw survival. Humanity will claw at the air, desperate for a lifeline. Social media will overflow with desperate cries, videos of people on their knees sobbing in empty churches. Streams of questions pouring in. What do we do now? Where do we go? Who can help us? Hashtags will trend with sorrow, anger, and regret. People will share stories of loved ones who vanished, searching for connections, for explanations, for proof that they are not alone in their grief. But no post, no message, no comment will fill the void. The desperate search will expose what humanity lost, not just loved ones, but the anchor of hope itself. False leaders will rise quickly, offering empty comfort. Some will claim they have the answers, scientists, politicians, spiritual deceivers. They will promise solutions, explanations, and peace, but their words will not heal. Their answers will feel like ashes in the mouth, because the soul will know the truth. People will run after them anyway, grasping at lies, because even a lie will feel better than the silence. The desperate search will lead humanity to the feet of deception, opening the door to the greatest manipulation the world has ever seen. Imagine families gathering together, opening books they once ignored, flipping through pages of truth they never read. Their hands will shake as they search for meaning, their eyes filling with tears as the words leap off the page. But instead of peace, the words will only bring pain, the pain of realizing that every promise was real, every warning was true, and every opportunity was wasted. They will search the scriptures not with hope but with torment, because now they will know the truth but cannot change their place in it. People will search for loved ones, wandering into empty bedrooms, holding onto photographs, listening for voices that will never speak again. Parents will cry into pillows that still carry the scent of their children. Spouses will sit in silence, clutching wedding rings, whispering words of love into an emptiness that cannot answer. Children will stare at doors, waiting for parents who will never return. The search for human comfort will be endless, but the emptiness will always remain. No reunion will come, no voice will respond, only silence, And when the world grows exhausted from searching outward, the search will turn inward. People will dig deep into their souls, trying to find strength, peace, or reason. But all they will find is emptiness. The desperate search for hope inside will end in despair, because the one thing they long for, peace with God, was available before but is now unreachable. The world will become one vast sea of seekers, searching everywhere, finding nothing, and drowning in the reality that the only answer they truly needed is gone. When the desperate search ends in silence, a heavier shadow will fall, the shadow of loneliness. The world will feel emptier than it ever has. Streets once filled with laughter will echo with sorrow. Homes will become tombs of memory, filled with photographs, clothes, and belongings that will never again be touched by the people who own them. Each object will feel like a haunting reminder of absence, every room a cruel museum of what was once alive but is now gone, and the weight of loss will not be shared. It will be personal, private, crushing. Picture the father who walks into his daughter's bedroom, toys scattered across the floor, her favorite blanket still warm from the night before, but she is gone. He sits on her bed, clutching her pillow, whispering her name into the silence, but the silence only grows louder. Or the mother, still holding her baby's bottle, waiting for a cry that will never come. That emptiness will not just sting, it will tear open a wound so deep it will feel impossible to breathe. This is the loneliness of loss, when every heartbeat reminds you of what you can never have again. Spouses will feel it most deeply. Imagine a husband waking up to find the other side of the bed cold and empty, the imprint of his wife's body still on the sheets. He reaches out instinctively, but his hand touches only air. Or a wife sitting at the dinner table, staring at an untouched chair where her husband should be. Every memory of love will now be drenched in grief, every smile now poisoned with sorrow. The loneliness will not fade with time. It will grow sharper, because time only makes the absence more undeniable. Children will wander their homes in confusion. They will call out for parents who no longer answer, their small voices breaking into sobs as they realize no one is coming. Their tears will fill the rooms, but no comfort will be found. Neighbors will hear their cries but feel powerless to help, because they too are grieving their own losses. This collective sorrow will not unite people. It will isolate them, because each heart will be trapped in its own prison of pain. No amount of company can erase the loneliness of losing someone irreplaceable. Friends will gather, but gatherings will not heal. They will talk about the ones who are gone, replaying conversations, replaying laughter, replaying moments they thought would last forever. But instead of joy, every memory will become a knife. The loneliness will follow them into crowds, reminding them that no matter how many people surround them, the one they long for is gone. It will be a loneliness deeper than solitude, because it is not the absence of people, it is the absence of the right person. And no replacement will fill that gap, and perhaps the deepest loneliness will come at night, when the world quiets down, when distractions fade, when the noise of the day finally settles. The weight of absence will scream the loudest. Tears will soak pillows, hearts will break in the dark, and silence will echo like thunder. For in the stillness of night there will be no escape, no pretense, no comfort, only the cold reality of a love, a family, a life that is forever missing. That is the loneliness of loss, and it will haunt every breath. When the loneliness of loss becomes unbearable, people will lift their eyes toward heaven, expecting comfort, expecting answers. For so long they dismissed prayer as unnecessary, mocked faith as weakness, and ignored the whisper of eternity. But now, in their desperation, they will finally cry out, screaming, pleading, begging for God to answer. They will fall to their knees, beating their chests, raising hands toward the sky. Yet, for the first time in their lives, they will feel something more terrifying than tragedy itself, the chilling silence of heaven. This silence will not be like unanswered prayers of the past, where hope still lingered, where tomorrow offered another chance. No, this silence will be final, piercing, absolute. It will echo louder than thunder, heavier than grief. People will shout into the emptiness, "God, where are you? Why won't you answer? Please, just one sign." But no sign will come. The silence of God will weigh upon them like 1,000 stones, suffocating, unbearable, inescapable. In that silence, memories will come flooding back, sermons they ignored, invitations they rejected, moments when they felt conviction but brushed it off. They will remember the friend who tried to share the truth, the parent who prayed for them, the stranger who spoke about salvation. They will replay those moments in their minds, realizing that God was speaking all along, but they silenced him. And now, in the moment they need him most, heaven has closed its door, leaving them to the torment of absence. In the face of silence, in the weight of regret, in the loneliness that crushes the soul, there will come a moment when fear can no longer be the answer. A moment when hearts, trembling and broken, must rise. This is the turning point, the hour when despair must be challenged by strength, when grief must be confronted with grit. Because even in the darkest night, courage is not gone. It is waiting to be chosen. It is the fire that remains when everything else is stripped away, and this moment will demand courage like never before. Courage will not look like easy victories or loud speeches. It will not be the absence of fear, but the decision to stand in spite of it. Some will stand alone in their homes, refusing to let despair consume them. Others will step out into a collapsing world, declaring truth even when mocked, even when hunted. Courage will be the mother who chooses to protect her child when hope seems lost, the father who decides to kneel in prayer when the heavens seem closed, the young person who says, "I will not run, I will not hide, I will not give up." This courage will cost something. It will demand tears, sacrifice, and resilience. It will not erase the chaos, but it will give strength to walk through it. To rise each morning when the world has collapsed, to keep breathing when the weight of sorrow tries to suffocate, to keep standing when everyone else falls, that is the courage this hour will demand. And though it may feel impossible, though the body may shake and the heart may tremble, courage will whisper, "Take one more step, do not quit." Courage will inspire others. In a time when panic spreads faster than truth, when fear dominates every conversation, one person's courage will ignite another's. A voice refusing to bow to despair will give strength to the weak. A single act of boldness will ripple into many. And in that ripple, hope will flicker again, even in the darkest valley. This courage will not erase the suffering, but it will prove that suffering does not get the final word. Fear may roar, but courage will answer louder. And this courage will not only shape survival, it will shape destiny. For in the days after the rapture, when the world crumbles and the silence of God feels unbearable, courage will be the only light left burning. It will separate those who surrender to hopelessness from those who dare to rise. And for those who choose it, courage will become the bridge, not to erase the pain, but to endure it, to stand through it, and to keep their eyes fixed on eternity, no matter the cost. Readiness is not built in the moment of crisis. It is forged in the moments before. It is the quiet choice made when no one is watching, the steady commitment when life seems ordinary, the daily surrender when distractions tempt the heart. The world laughed at readiness. They called it foolish, unnecessary, old-fashioned. But when the trumpet sounded and millions vanished in a blink, the laughter died, and readiness became the most valuable treasure in the universe. Those who were ready are gone, safe in the arms of their Savior. They are no longer touched by sorrow, no longer bound by fear, no longer chained to this collapsing world. And those left behind will feel the cutting truth. Readiness was not about religion, ritual, or routine. It was about relationship, knowing Him, walking with Him, choosing Him before it was too late. The power of readiness is not in avoiding pain, it is in securing eternity. For the unprepared, the weight of regret will feel like fire. They will remember the countless opportunities when they could have made the choice, when they could have surrendered, when they could have prepared their hearts. But readiness cannot be borrowed, it cannot be bought, it cannot be faked. It must be chosen, and when the rapture has passed, the door to that readiness will be closed. The silence of God will prove that time is over, but for those who are ready now, for those listening with open hearts today, this message is a lifeline. Readiness gives peace in chaos, direction in confusion, and hope in despair. It is not fear-driven, it is love-driven. It is not about running from judgment. It is about running into the arms of the one who promised, "I will come again and receive you to myself." Readiness is power because it transforms fear into faith and endings into beginnings. The truth is, we do not know the hour. We cannot predict the exact moment, but that is the call, to live prepared, to live awake, to live ready. Because once the trumpet sounds, 5 minutes too late is eternally too late. The power of readiness lies in its urgency, in its immediacy, in its ability to anchor the soul before the storm comes. And when that moment arrives, those who are ready will not tremble, they will rise. Life is built on choices. Every path we walk, every door we open, every word we speak is a choice. And when it comes to eternity, there is no avoiding it. We either choose him, or we choose everything else. We either say yes, or by silence, by delay, by distraction, we still say no. The reality is brutal. Not choosing Christ is still a choice. And when the rapture comes, that truth will shatter millions like glass. For many, it will not be that they hated God. It will not be that they despised truth. It will simply be that they delayed, they postponed, they excused, they said, "One day I'll get serious, one day I'll decide." But the rapture is not a respecter of procrastination. The trumpet will sound in the middle of ordinary days, and choices will be sealed forever. What was ignored on earth will be answered in eternity. Some will realize they chose the world over eternity. They chose comfort over conviction. They chose popularity over purity. And in that dreadful moment, their hearts will scream with regret. Tears will not change it. Pleas will not reverse it. Their choice is written, permanent, eternal. The reality of choice is not softened by emotions. It is defined by actions. But here is the truth. The choice is still available now. Every heartbeat is a gift of mercy. Every sunrise a reminder of grace. To hear this message is proof that the door is not closed yet, and so the greatest power in your hands today is choice. Will you choose life, or will you drift toward death? Will you choose eternity, or gamble with the temporary? The reality of choice confronts every soul, and demands an answer. When the final trumpet sounds, there will be no debate, no negotiation, no bargaining. The time for deciding will be over. Heaven or separation, joy or despair, eternity with God or eternity without him. Everything will hinge on one thing, the choice you made while breath was still in your lungs. The greatest tragedy of the rapture will not be the shock of disappearance. It will be the millions who realized too late that they did have a choice, and they let it slip away. If everything we've walked through has shown us anything, it is this time is not endless. The rapture is not a myth, not a story, not a metaphor. It is an event waiting for its moment, a divine appointment already marked on heaven's calendar, and when it happens, 5 minutes after will be the most sobering, terrifying reality the world has ever known. The silence, the panic, the regret, all of it will come crashing down, and yet today, before that moment arrives, there is still mercy. This is your reminder that eternity is not some far-off concept. It is one heartbeat away. One decision away, one surrender away. Every distraction you chase, every delay you justify, every excuse you hold on to, it cannot stand against the weight of eternity. You will not care about money, fame, or opinion 5 minutes after the trumpet sounds. You will only care about one thing: was I ready? And here is the truth. God has been calling, through whispers, through sermons, through moments when your heart stirred, through the unease you felt when you thought about eternity. He has been calling in love, in patience, in grace. But one day the call will end and silence will remain. The reminder today is not meant to scare you. It is meant to wake you, to shake you, to pull you out of sleep before the storm arrives. This is the reminder that you still have a choice. You still have a chance. You still have a window of mercy wide open before you. You are not too far gone. You are not too broken. You are not disqualified. The cross still speaks, the blood still saves, the door is still open, but it will not stay open forever. The rapture will slam it shut, and then regret will echo where hope once stood. The reminder is simple: don't wait. Don't gamble with eternity. Don't live as if tomorrow is promised, because it is not. The trumpet could sound in the middle of your workday, in the middle of your sleep, in the middle of your next plan. And when it does, your eternity will be sealed forever. This is your reminder, the last one you may hear, to choose readiness now.